We are officially just a handful of days into spring, and you know what that means around here. It is time for a sewing pattern roundup. I actually really love taking the time to film these videos because I find it really fun to highlight different sewing pattern designers. I did challenge myself this season, so none of these sewing patterns are going to feature oversized collars or big puffy sleeves. I love those just as much as any other fashion lover, but I have found myself feeling a little bit burnt out, so I did try to highlight some patterns that have different features than that. So first up is going to be the Strawberry Shortcake dress by SewBakeMake Patterns. This sewing pattern actually comes as a full-length dress and a top. I love the little gathered waist detail. I love that this sewing pattern is versatile in the sense that you can either make a dress or you can make a top for this upcoming season. So I do like patterns where you can get a little bit more wear out of just the one singular view. The next sewing pattern is the Adrielle dress by Studio Amity, and I actually found this one through there's a pattern for that request that I got, and I absolutely love it. This one is actually slightly different than the Anthropology dress that was in question. This sewing pattern does not feature a collar and a button band down the front of the dress, but I actually think it makes the dress feel a little bit more elevated, and I'm a little torn. I don't know if I would make the long view or the short view, but either way, I would make this pattern just as it is, and I wouldn't even actually try to make it match the Anthropology dress. I think this one is a little bit more up my alley. Next is the Eva dress by Charlotte Rose Patterns, and this one features a series of gathers that go around the bodice of the dress, which is super popular right now. But what I like about this sewing pattern is you can customize how many rows of gathering stitches you do down the length of the dress to kind of modify the look to what you prefer. So if you like something that's a little bit more of a drop waist, you're just going to keep adding those rows of sheared elastic down the bodice of the dress until you hit that drop waistline. But if you're like me and you prefer more of a natural waist, you don't have to continue those gathers all the way down. So I think this one's kind of fun because you can kind of very easily customize the look without actually having to change any of the pattern pieces. Don't get too mad at me, but I am going to talk about my own sewing pattern. I really do think the Serenade dress is a great option for the spring season. I think it's fun, it's flirty. I think you can really dress this pattern up or down depending on the type of fabric that you make this dress out of. I have yet to make it out of a mid-weight crepe satin type fabric, and I'm really curious to do that. I might do that for one of my bridal looks. I've been considering that if I can find the right fabric, but I have made it out of a beautiful camp gingham by Fabulism. I have made it out of a stretch crepe to recreate that $500 designer dress that I did. And of course, I've made many samples, but I have yet to try it out of a crepe satin, and I'm very curious to see what that looks like. There's a huge moth flying around my office. But I have yet to make it out of a thicker mid-weight crepe satin fabric, and I'm very curious to see what that looks like. The godets might need a bit more drape, but I feel like modifying this sewing pattern to something that's like a T-length dress could be really pretty. I don't know. I haven't tried it out yet. We'll see. You know, every now and then when I'm filming these videos, I'm realizing that sometimes I don't know how to pronounce the pattern designer. So this is the Tulip top by Fortiv. I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but I love this Tulip top. I love the giant scallop hem that's at the bottom. I love that you can do the ties on the side. I love the square neckline. And I love that it's not too difficult to extend the length. So this pattern is definitely a crop top, but for me, I don't like my crop tops to be super short. I want them to match the top of my pants. And you can definitely see that some people have chosen to extend that a little bit, and I think it's just perfect. This is definitely a high priority make on my sewing wish list. That is, of course, after I finish recreating the cherry dress by Leo Lynn, which I am using a sewing pattern by Gracie Steele to get that one done. There is your sewing pattern roundup. That's everything I am considering for this upcoming season. I think they're all great sewing patterns that have a lot of versatility to them, and I think some of them are great sewing patterns that you can add into your library and build upon. I know that when I was first sewing, it was really fun to fill my pattern library and then eventually start mixing and matching things together. And that just really helped me expand my pattern making knowledge and really help prepare me to go to the next level, which is drafting my own sewing patterns. If you have any DIY requests or sewing pattern review or sewing pattern questions, let me know and I'll be happy to answer them. And in the meantime, I will see you in the next one.